JaiKisan, JaiKisan. అన్నము తీసే రాజువయ్యా మా అందరి కడుపులు నింపే అన్నదాతవయ్యా పొద్దు పొద్దున్నే మేలుకోని నెత్తికి రుమాలు చుట్టుకొని పొద్దు పొద్దున్నే మేలుకోని నెత్తికి రుమాలు చుట్టుకొని బయలెల్లి నువ్వు కాపాడుతావు నేలని సలాం 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 రైతన్నా నీకు సలాం 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 రైతన్నా నీకు సలాం సలాం.
We've got a lot of folks here. We've got over 63 countries represented here today. Start with an introduction to our host, Mr. Narsana Koppula. Narsana Koppula is a permaculture pioneer in India, a lover of nature and environment. He was among the first Indians trained by Bill Mollison in the 1980s. With his mentor, late Dr. Venkat, who has been his constant source of inspiration, they created the first permaculture farms in India and formed permaculture farmers groups across the country. He founded Aranya Agricultural Alternatives with his wonderful wife Padma in 1999. His environmental humanitarian work has been empowering communities for the past 30 decades. So for folks who are under 30, he's been working longer than you've been alive. He is a permaculture consultant, designer, and teacher, and a campaigner of permaculture practices all over the world. Let's give him a warm welcome.
I'm very happy to see all of you here. Not one country. How many? 63 countries. Thank you so much for your presence here, and you are making definitely make this event change in future. Definitely it is not 63. Next year, next Argentina IPC going to be 163 countries. I'm going to dedicate this IPC to Dr. Bill Mollison and the Dr. Venkat. I think they are the people who made the change of enter the face of this world, agriculture scenario, agriculture future. I think definitely we propose to dedicate this IPC India 2017 event. Today, because of I am come from a small village, not even 200 households, in an Indian very remote village I born, and today I am with the 63 countries. I think I am so proud of introduce my mother here. I am so happy to see her here on the dais with me.
So what is the moving dot? The bindu, the bindi, which enfolds the universe. Just like that tiny little seed that we've just sown there, it enfolds the future in permanence. I did my PhD on quantum theory. That's what quantum theory tells us. That in that little psi function is held the potential of a future unfolding in multiplicity. And the difference between a very patriarchal, industrial, mechanical thought and this living system Mechanical thought believes in fixed, separate, dead entities. But life is constantly evolving and renewing living systems. That's what permanence is. That's what permaculture is. That's what the culture and economy of permanence is. So when we sow a seed, we have a little prayer that says, may this seed be exhaustless. May it never run out. Challenge the illusion that a GMO in effect is giving Monsanto license to say, we are the creators of life on earth. So GMO means God move over, no creator, no creation. There's a Supreme Court judgment in the United States, Bauman versus Monsanto, where the judges actually said a seed is a self-replicating machine invented by Monsanto, and a farmer saving seed and planting seed is stealing the intellectual property of the self-replicating machine. By working together, that our power is much more than our individual powers. Our power is the power of the millions and trillions of species on this earth. Our power is the power of every marginalized and forgotten person. Our power is the power of life, which will not be extinguished, no matter how deep the urge for extermination be, in those who have only money making in their minds.
I've been fortunate that most of my service has been in rural India, rural Andhra Pradesh and Telangana together, and with the tribal communities and with women self-help groups. So my involvement with a different kind of agriculture, the non-chemical agriculture, which was initiated in Andhra Pradesh under the name of Non-Chemical Pest Management, NPM. So that actually started with the women farmers. We started the program in year 2005, and the women farmers took the lead in that, and this program slowly spread through a farmer-to-farmer exchange process. It was not a top-down kind of agriculture dissemination. It was a best practicing farmer who carries the highest credibility working with other farmers. Our objective is to work in about 2,000 villages to make them into bio-villages. We have started work in 968 villages, and about 140,000 farmers have started practicing what we call as zero-budget natural farming, popularized by Sri Subhash Palekar. He has been, in one sense, a one-man army motivating farmers all over the country to respect nature, to do farming in harmony with nature. And a logical step forward in that would be permaculture, because we already have incorporated multi-layer farming as part of the zero-budget natural farming protocols. So, what I'm looking forward to is the help from Aranya agricultural alternatives to take permaculture, to take it on scale, so that we have villages where all the farmers are practicing natural farming and graduating to permaculture. And I also want to involve the young farmers in moving towards permaculture.
Masanobu Fukuoka came to India, and I remember organizing a conference for him in Hyderabad with the scientists from the Indian Council of Agricultural Research. And he stood up, and the first thing he said was that the purpose of agriculture is not only to grow crops, it is to refine the human spirit. sort of stunned. All the agricultural scientists sitting there, they're saying, what's the man talking about? But it's very natural. If you are not thinking of stealing from the earth or marauding nature, if you are thinking of living in harmony with nature and doing something very useful, like growing crops to feed other people, your human spirit does change. It changes from being a mere consumer, somebody who's thinking only of money, to being a person within a community. It was just a natural idea. And it struck me when Masanobu Fukuoka said that this land of India is an ancient land, and it is very natural that this thought should come once again here and take flower. Because what he was talking about was a connection between permaculture, which is a way of doing ecological agriculture, and community building.
And it was that time that I saw Narsanna and Padma, young people working there, working with me, working along with me, side by side, very young, very eager, full of passion and ready to go forward. And today it fills me with a kind of a pride. It fills me with great pride to see how far they have come and how, I mean, what a good path they have tread. That they have walked this and that they have stayed true to these principles is something that fills me with a lot of pleasure.
Because of my little involvement with several people, including Bill and Fukuoka, is that I work on something which I believe required for changing the world would be we need to think of moving away from water as the measure to sort of going into a regime of moisture. You know, I think that's something which we need to think of, because then what Vandana talks about, the ability of the carbon to absorb, etc. I think those are pragmatic changes on which this little guy Gopal is trying to struggle with. The other part is that, well, we can certainly blame chemicals, and we have realized what catastrophe it's causing. But I do think that we have to give a much greater fillip to the biologicals. And how we are going to do those biologicals is very, very crucial, both for the plant and for efficient water management and for efficient oxygen in the soil, which will also then lead to the improvement in the physical condition of the soil. If we are able to change the physical condition of the soil and the biological condition, I think we can give a good run to the chemical companies for their money. Thank you.
And we went to one of the women's Sangam's meetings, and we were meeting the women and hearing their stories, and it was really inspiring to see how the women coming together were identifying the solutions to their problems. And they were setting up food networks. They were being trained as barefoot health workers. I joined a group of those to a visit to the Hyderabad Zoo, which was a lot of fun, and so much.
So they have what you call the global challenges. This entire globe is at the crisis. Crisis, if we go on list out the crisis, is the question about the living standards of the living being. So the crisis is very much related with the economic crisis all over the globe, ecology and the societal what you call a crisis. We are looking at in the morning and the panel discussion, the people who have been refused, people who have been thrown away from the different countries. So which leads to the what you call the future question mark is totally different. So how I am connected, because I am a class teacher, I can teach a lesson in the classroom, particularly pathology as introduction people have mentioned. But I was overwhelmed to present something which I have collected. I have struggled a lot to correlate the things to fit into the slogan what you have given by the IPC.
I find it both like grassroots movement, because the government, they don't talk about permaculture, they don't talk, all the agriculture in Israel is chemicals. And we have people, not suicide, but we have a lot of problem with soil pollution and water pollution, and so this kind of problem we have all over the world. And grassroots movement like the permaculture and Narsana doing in Irania, it's something really I appreciate and look for, and can take it also as example to Israel and try to make this effort also with the farmers and for all the people they make all the decision in the government. So permaculture like helped me with a lot of because like I said, there is no water, no rain, so design all the earthwork and the water management in the forest and create Mediterranean food forest that is for long term.
I think the only way the government can support the farmers is not by giving them any fertilizers or money or nothing. They have to make sure that the farmers get a reasonable price for their products so they can live from their products, and they should teach them the traditional ways of farming. They should teach them how to be independent and live from their own properties. That's the only way how we can improve our world.
దాదాపు ఈ కాన్ఫరెన్స్కి ఒక 40 మంది స్పీకర్లు ఉన్నారు, కన్వర్జెన్స్కి ఇంకొక 60 మంది స్పీకర్లు ఉన్నారు, మొత్తం ఒక 100 మంది ఇక్కడ ఉన్నారు. ఈ సదస్సుకి దాదాపు 62 దేశాల నుంచి ఒక 1000 మంది దాకా పాల్గొన్నారు. 1000 మందిలో 560 మంది వరకు ఇంటర్నేషనల్ పార్టిసిపెంట్స్ డెలిగేట్స్ ఉన్నారు. మన మొత్తం భారతదేశం నుంచి ఒక 18 స్టేట్స్ నుంచి పార్టిసిపేట్ చేశారు. ఆంధ్ర తెలంగాణ రెండు రాష్ట్ర ప్రభుత్వాల నుంచి కూడా ఒక 200 మంది రైతులు ఈ సదస్సులో పాల్గొన్నారు. సో దీనికి ఈ సదస్సు ముఖ్య ఉద్దేశం ఏంటంటే టువర్డ్స్ హెల్దీ సొసైటీస్ అనేది ఒక థీమ్ ఇచ్చాము. దానికి ఏంటంటే హెల్దీ సొసైటీస్ ఎప్పుడుంటాం, మనం ఆరోగ్యవంతమైన సమాజాల కోసం అంటున్నాము. ఆరోగ్యవంతమైన సమాజాలు ఎప్పుడు ఉంటాయి, మనం ఎప్పుడైతే ఆరోగ్యంగా ఉంటామో సంతోషంగా ఉంటామో అప్పుడు ఆరోగ్యవంతమైన సమాజాలు వస్తాయి. అవన్నీ జరగాలంటే మనకున్న ఆరోగ్యకరమైన తిండి రావాలి. అవన్నీ రావాలంటే ఒక వైవిధ్యభరితమైన పంటలు పండించాలి. అవన్నీ సరిగా ఉండాలంటే భూసారాన్ని కాపాడుకోవాలి, మన మదర్ ఎర్త్ని కాపాడుకోవాలి. అంటే ప్రజలు భూ సంరక్షించుకుంటే ప్రజల సంరక్షణ జరుగుతుంది, ఈ రెండింటినీ ఈక్వేషన్స్ నడుస్తుంది. ఈ రెండింటి మధ్య కూడా న్యాయమైన వాటా జరగాలి. కాబట్టి ఈ సదస్సు మొత్తం కూడా ఏంటంటే మన భారతదేశంలో కానీ ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్ తెలంగాణ ప్రభుత్వాల్లో కానివ్వండి, రైతుల్లో కానివ్వండి, పర్మాకల్చర్ మూమెంట్ అనేది ప్రపంచవ్యాప్తంగా ఉంది. కానీ ఇక్కడ మనకి పదంతో కొంచెం కొత్తగా అనిపిస్తుంది. ఈ శాశ్వత వ్యవసాయం అనేది రైతుల దగ్గర వరకు పోతుందనే ఉద్దేశంతో ఈ సదస్సును ఏర్పాటు చేయడం జరుగుతుంది.
What are the changes I expected from this, and what are the interventions, what are the initiatives I wanted to take from this International Permaculture Conferences? One is I thought of having definitely it is going to be a big change in conducting IPCs in future, number one. Like having a conferences, all these conferences happened in the park or in hotels. This time we wanted to just change the face of the IPCs. That is, instead of having the parks or any resorts, we can have it in the farm. That is what we made little bit change. I think we are going to have convergence in one farm. And number two, I wanted to just sensitize even the regular academic institutions as well. That has happened. This is the first time I'm so happy to announce that, because the government of Telangana has given these premises to host IPC in this university. I think the auditorium, last time also they have given that same premises for us. I think that is one of the breakthrough I can say. This is the first time they have not given to anybody except in government agencies, the government departments, the NGO, it's the Aranya Agriculture Alternatives NGO. I think there's so trust what we are going to do, how we are working with the government. They know very well. I think we're working with a lot of very closely associated with the government project. A country like India, I think we have a lot of diverse cultures are there. I think I wanted to show how the Indian farmers are making it success within having a small holding like 2.5 acres, 3 acres, how they are making sustain, how they are getting their food, and what are the resources, the limited resources, how they are making it success by looking at getting their own food. I think that I wanted to, more than the learning from others, we wanted to show the Indian agriculture form of subsistence farming to other countries also. Today there are 67 countries they are here. Tomorrow we are going to move to a farm where we are developed on permaculture principles. I think that is one of the very unique thing what we change we made.
So the main advice with organic farming is it seems like it's very difficult in the beginning. It's a lot of hard labor. After year 1, year 2, with setting up your permaculture patterns, it gets so much easier. The rewards that you get to receive out of it, it fills your heart space, you feel more motivated to do it, and in the long term, it is the best solution to go. Chemical agriculture is not the way to go. We can see by the patterns we've been facing, the sicknesses, the diseases, unhappy and unhealthy people, it's not the way. Organic farming is the way, and it does get easier as time goes by.
Permaculture is the way to go because it helps to give us nutritious food, and it helps to produce a wide range of foods as well, which is good for health and for the environment. And it helps us to look after the soil, which is most important asset for farmers as the people who do agriculture. So I'm very excited about promoting permaculture because of its many benefits. Personally, since I started the permaculture, I am growing some of my own food, and I am now leading a much healthier life than I used to do before I started using permaculture. It's a wonderful approach that has helped me, and that is helping many people across the world.
In my country, actually, permaculture is a very trendy thing, and a lot of I know actually there are a lot of people get interested in the permaculture, and they want to know more sustainable way of living, and also want to contribute their own personal strength to save our earth.
And I came here to the Permaculture Convergence to know more about the new initiative in the world of permaculture and all the new innovation in terms of social communities, co-housing, and as a landscape designer, I'm really interested to bring together the idea of cities, urban development and farming, and in a way to build healthy societies and healthy and sustainable future for the new generation.
Yeah, I think there's so many things that we can do. Something we say in permaculture a lot is it depends, so we can use some of these different systems. You're dealing with a lot of rain. You have very extremes here, so you have a lot of rain and then you have a lot of dry stuff. In certain parts of our country, we have monsoons and we're dealing with deserts. Where I'm at is a lot colder, so I'm more like the north part of India. It's been really great to learn a lot of these different techniques and to network and meet people. Today I learned about a wicking system, which I'd never seen before, where you use terracotta pots, you fill it with water, and you take rope and you run it around and use that as your watering system. And so I thought that was really cool. It's something I'm going to take back and use in my fruit tree work. I mean, you guys you've been doing this in India for thousands and thousands of years. I think that you're doing things that work great. I think it's really great, especially this morning, to hear Vandana Shiva talk about resisting the GMOs and resisting the corporate farming. That's something in my country, we have very few small farmers, whereas here in India, it's something like 90% of your food is grown from small farmers. And in my country, there's very few small farmers. So it's really great to see people working the land and having a connection with the land like that. I think there's a lot we can learn from each other in these things.
And I'm here at the International Permaculture Conference. I was really interested in the theme of this conference being women as agents of change, and just hearing from female farmers, whether it's urban farmers or rural farmers, as well as different women who have done a lot of community organising. So that's what I'm really interested in, that sort of community building side. And that's why I've come to India to this conference. So I'm involved in permaculture in Australia, so in like a city environment, and as well as I'm interested in the sustainable agricultural side of permaculture, so the bigger farming side. So I've been going to a few different international permaculture conferences, and I saw when India proposed to host, and I thought it was fantastic that Nasana and his wife were going to host this permaculture conference, and so I wanted to come and learn about permaculture from the Indian communities.
I have been I've been involved with permaculture since 2010. I did it in the US, then I went to teach in Kenya, and I have been teaching permaculture design certificate since 2010. And I have been involved in International Permaculture Convergence. This is my second time, but it is my first time to be in India. And I like the place, I like the people. And my profession is I specialize in drylands, resource management.
Here is have very exciting things happen. The Permaculture International Convergence and Conference. I learned PDC in 2015, and I was so interested in permaculture. So I want to know what happened in the all around the area. And the permaculture movement is also begin at the China, and we held some study tour in Australia and some PDC course, and more and more people will know this and join us.
Greet all the farmers out there. I would like to tell you that it's worthwhile looking into permaculture strategies to improve your soil, to make a good and healthy crop without industrial strategies. And if you look for solutions, there are so many experts already in India who can show you and tell you how that is. Maybe you want to go in a permaculture course, do some seed saving, go into composting, and whatever helps you proceeding, making the soil more fertile, producing a nutritious crop for your family, for your community. Strengthen your community, think globally, and act locally.
Well, I come from a big city, so it's very important that the little bit of land that we do have becomes both beautiful and an educational plot. Because we have such little space, we tend to want to create gardens where we could also teach people.
Show them your system. Show it works within their context, keeping their needs and culture in mind. And this is how it is the best way to make it work. Yeah, demonstrations is what. So you have the house, the energy, the waste, the farming, whatever is required to set up a permaculture system. The best way of making it work in a village is to have a demonstration that works.
Speaking for myself, on the practical front, my partner and I have acquired a piece of land that is reasonably representative of the kind of terrain that the farmers around us actually have to work with. And what we have done is approach the Department of Agriculture and suggested that we ourselves would set up a system from scratch, create a farming system that we would offer to them as a model for adoption. The department will actually scrutinize everything that we do from the word go, do all the necessary documentation to satisfy themselves in terms of the methods that we use, the costs involved, the labor inputs, etc. And if they're happy with how it all goes, we're very happy for them to take it on and take all the credit, etc., as long as we use their reach and resources to actually get it out into the rural communities where we hope will do a lot of good.
You go and give your soil for analysis to any laboratory, government laboratory, including the Krishi Vigyan Kendra. They will tell you how much of NPK is there, and they will give you a recommendation how much of nitrogen has to go in, phosphate has to go in, and potash has to go in. So it is not soil health. Soil fertility related with soil fertilizers. Soil health is a holistic system which permaculture talks about, which organic labels talk about, which non-chemical farming talks about. I just want to add one line. So this soil health cannot be maintained without the holistic approach, as Vandana was telling, or others were telling.
It is not only for the main problem in India has been that most of the communication has been top down. among the farmers, the communication that exists, that is missing now. So it is important to create a forum whereby farmers can learn from the experience of other farmers. That is first. And second is then so-called scientists within inverted commas also learn from farmers a little bit by doing some work on the ground, not in halls and in the lab.
Farmers have been enslaved enough with BT cotton. They should now not be slaves through climate data and soil data as new commodities. We need knowledge at the level of the farmer. I totally confirm that a practicing farmer has the deepest knowledge, and it's multifunctional knowledge. It's knowledge of soil, it's knowledge of plants, it's knowledge of pests, it's knowledge of pollinators, it's knowledge of water, knowledge of trees, it's knowledge of their animals. So it is time to turn to farmers as knowledgeable people and have them as the guides of where we do our agriculture in a permanent way. We are at a very bad threshold because the tragedy we've seen in the last 20 years could become absolutely irreversible if we constantly, blindly follow the path. And I do think it's wrong. We are losing our pride and our dignity and our sovereignty as our nation. Permaculture is a way to bring that pride back to the farmer and the country.
No farmer I am working with since last 30 years, and they never ask the NPK. They want the sand, your silt and clay. Look at how they put in the NPK. They never ask the NPK. They ask how much sand my soil has, how much clay and how much silt. It's very simple. Don't make it complicated by giving this kind of health cards and nice soil cards, and where does it go? Nobody knows. After when I haven't seen even 20% of cards have come back and they have not recommended what kind of they use it.
Our wheats do not give gluten allergy. That is why Monsanto patented it, and I had to fight that biopiracy. Our dals have much more nutrition. Our millets have much more nutrition. We could feed 2 times India's population, and we must stop using the measures of the colonizer. We must use the measures of the earth and our own knowledge of what is nutrition, and we should measure nutrition per acre and not yield per acre of monocultures.
In permaculture, we keep repeating care of people and care of the earth. See, Tolstoy once said, all great ideas are very simple. If a government or a planning process, you take this as the basis of your governmental approach, care of people and care of the earth, then everything else will fall into place. What kind of fiscal deficit, what kind of growth strategies, whether to have solar energy emphasis or nuclear power stations, whether to have large dams or micro watersheds. It becomes, you don't even need to discuss it. The question is, if you start a planning process by saying how much profit it will make for whom, how much power it will give for some people. If we keep saying that because of our growth strategy, we now have over 100 billionaires, dollar billionaires, you see, you have lost sight of a very simple principle.
Agriculture is a way of living. That's what a little dictionary meaning. So how many farmers are able to produce their own food is a big question mark. So if you are doing agriculture, then you don't need to think about all the markets and MRPs and or MSPs. And if you do agriculture as a business, if you do as a business, like what you are doing is you are bringing all the inputs from external resources and putting into the soil. You are making as a business, you are investing and you are expecting the outcome of it. That is the economy you are calculating. So there, it's like if you are doing the agriculture business, you have to follow the management principles. So if you see the management principles, so they have to take care of their soil fertility is the first one as a management principle. So avoiding this, how the business will sustainable. So simple. If you give these answers to, then we don't need to talk about all those things.
All of India by 2047 should be poison-free, chemical-free, debt-free, suicide-free. That is our true freedom.
More than 70% of the schools are in rural areas. But what do we teach them? The same physics, chemistry, geography, history. Then we blame the rural people because they drop out of school because they find it meaningless. It's not connected to their livelihood. It's not connected to farming or local crafts. So I think adding to that, the whole country must wake up. In particular, schools have to wake up because our next generation is there. all said and done, we cannot change the school system overnight, but we can bring in an interest in a subject called farming or a subject called local craft.
Permaculture is a path of sustainability, and this is a real love, affection and respect of nature. When we are giving the love, affection and respect to the nature, so we are growing real agriculture. So that is the agriculture who save the water and who save the planet. The only permaculture agriculture can save the planet through the sustainability, because due to the permaculture agriculture we can save water, and water is climate and climate is water. So if we not moving on the path of permaculture, or you can say the natural agriculture, or you can say give any name of the, but the name of the agriculture in India is a real culture where the love, affection and respect and nutrition of the humanity and nutrition of nature. So I think this is a principle, but this principle can sustainable when we can make the agriculture contractor free.
Please, there are at least 60 to 70 of the best farmers in this audience. 50 to 60. From Goa, there are 2 permaculture farmers. One is Clea Chanman. Clea Chanman will show you how to create fresh soil in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Forest soil in 3 weeks. This is not theory, she did it in my own farm. So I am a devotee of Clea Chanman. The second person is Peter Fernandez. Peter Fernandez has grown in 1 acre, out of 70 plants, 64 which are edible plants. So you can go in his entire field and you can keep eating all the plants that he is growing. Now these are not annuals. Annuals means every day you have to put new seed, then you have to water, then you have to remove the crop and plow and put back. These are what is called mostly perennial plants, means they are growing there. Whether you like them or not, they are there. You remove and it grows again. So even there also, all my vegetables now are coming from these perennials. So they are saying that if we teach all our villagers how to grow these perennials, at least for their own self-consumption, at least 200 to 300 million people in this country, small farmers, will begin to eat food which is not poisoned, and that will be your base population.
Permaculture is nothing but permanent agriculture. So the aim is towards permanent agriculture so that there is no distortion in anything that happens. All these are concepts which have come over a period of time. Our final destination to give to India is non-chemical, non-poisonous farming. There are different ways to reach it. Some call it as organic farming, some call it as natural farming, some call it as organic farming, some call it as I don't believe in the word zero, because without any work, nothing can happen. Zero budget farming, whatever can be. All these are paths. All these are paths. Our destination, as Vandana said, by 2047, let us have a non-chemical, non-poisonous food for our people to eat and go.
To my fellow farmers who think a solution to the problem of an unjust, toxic agriculture is ending their lives, I would say that is the wrong way to go. Your life is precious for your family, for your children. The right way to change an unjust system is to resist it. Gandhi showed us the way. You need to engage in a satyagraha for your life, a satyagraha for your seed, a satyagraha to go poison-free so that you don't have debt. Organic farming, permaculture is the way to guarantee your life. Join hands with other farmers. We cannot see more suicides of farmers on this land. India must be free of poisons, of debt and farmers' suicides. We are with you for this. We will give all our lives to ensure no farmer commits suicide, but you too must stand proud and committed to continue your life as the Annadatas of this country. Remember your children.
We started our journey from Jahirabad area. We worked in Narsana and myself, we worked in a NGO, Deccan Development Society, where the permaculture movement started. So from there, 12 years we worked in the same NGO, and after that we started, we want to, like, whatever we learned with the communities, whatever we learned with the people and NGO working at the grassroots level, we want to upscale the same what we believe in. So started with developing like a piece of land when we started our work. What we believed, like what we learned a permaculture in Deccan Development Society with the farm development, and the same thing we started in the same area, 11.5 acres land we purchased, and then started the permaculture farm. It's like dryland agriculture, a 20 years old permaculture farm. Like we followed all the permaculture design principles, and Nasana and me both we developed that farm. So many people, they will ask me, what is the difference between the organic farming and permaculture farming? So I used to explain with, like there is a diversified cropping system. Then they will ask me, what do you do with the pest management? The pest management in permaculture systems, we don't need to do the pest management. When we have a diversified cropping systems, diversified vegetable growings, we don't need to manage, the pests will get distributed. If you, same thing, that is the answer I have given to the organic farmers. So many people, they ask me in that.
And the second, one good thing I should be thankful to Narsanaji is, yesterday I completed 43 years of teaching. Today I'm starting my 44th year of teaching with this. Yeah. So I'm happy that Narsana gave me this opportunity to start today. I'd like to take you people through a journey of environment, a complete journey of environment, and I have requested the MC to forget that board because she has forgotten the board herself. Everybody talks about restoration. I'm going to restore my soil. I'm going to restore my fields. I'm going to restore the land. Supposing a man meets with an accident and the leg is amputated. Supposing this person meets with an accident and the leg is amputated. If I can give him his own leg again, it is a restoration. But if I give him an wooden leg, it is rehabilitation. And what we are doing for our environment is rehabilitation and not restoration. Let us be very clear about it. Once we damage, we cannot again restore the environment. It takes several years to restore.
So I find it inspiring how much the farmers here are inventing and researching. And I will talk to the farmers at home in Germany and see what they are inventing and researching, and I hope I can take some of the inspiring back home to Germany.
The farming in my country is very diverse, and I had the opportunity to go to Aranya farm. I've been in India for 5 weeks, and have been at Palam farm and then Aranya, and it's very beautiful, many trees and native cultural structures and wells. And in the United States, there's a lot of organic farms close to where I live, where they're utilizing a lot of manure also and planting seeds that they've collected, and they're quite beautiful. And I live in a forested environment, and so it's very different from here.
My strategy, often what we do is in any 20 farmers, we have a class 20 farmers, 1 or 2 farmers will be experimental, progressive we say, and they like to try new things. So my strategy is teach everybody, but on those farmers that are experimenting, to really give them more energy, more training, because they try things, and their farmers, everybody in that community will look to that farmer. Will look to that farmer who is trying new things, and that farmer becomes the person that helps their community change, helps their community improve, learn new farming techniques. So it's the progressive farmers that are really the agents of change in their community. So my strategy is not so much, my strategy is to help and focus on that farmer and let that farmer become the change.
I live on a block of land there, and we try and use the permaculture values. I personally don't lived there much because I've been to university, and there I train in nursing. So I realise it's not agriculture, but I would like to bring more of the natural side, the agricultural, natural plants, natural remedies and things into nursing and healthcare, and try and get more people out onto the land so that they are healthier.
Yeah, I started farming about 30 years ago. I used the organic method according to and also I used a natural farming method according to Masanobu Fukuoka. I started about 20 years ago. And then I made permaculture, and I studied permaculture in my farm about 20 years ago too. And I mixed method of permaculture and natural farming method together, and I created good soil. It took about 10 years, but after the practice of permaculture and natural farming for 10 years, I could create a very good soil, and the products from that garden was fabulous.
My specialty is algae energy farming. I'm a vegan raw foodist from America, and I've studied permaculture, and I've been in India for 7 years, and you know, there's a lot of things that are very good about Indian farming. The fact that Indian farming has stayed within the family. In America, we've seen the agricultural businesses take over farming. And to just give a brief history of that, this is related to the war, this is related to explosive industries making fertilizer and bombs and taking over agriculture and taking over pharmaceuticals and taking over seed companies, and really agriculture is the center of society. I mean, because everybody goes to work and they work for money, but the only reason they work for money is to go out and buy food, and if you can't buy food, then the whole economy fails. And so, you know, India is an incredible country.
नेपाल पश्चिम बेल्ट चाइना का नज़दीक में काम कर रहा हूँ। मेरे मकान वहीं सुर्खेत भन्ने जगह पर है। उसमें 1.5-2 बीघा के जगह में पर्माकल्चर के फार्म कर रहा हूँ। एग्रो फॉरेस्टर, लाइव स्टॉक, बी कीपिंग एंड वेजिटेबल्स प्रोडक्ट, इससे काम कर रहा हूँ। पर्माकल्चर पीडीसी डिज़ाइन कोर्स 20-22 साल हो गया लिया था मैंने, तो अभी यहाँ वो अनुभव को शेयरिंग करने के लिए यहाँ आ रहा हूँ।
I think Indian farming is in danger of being overtaken by international corporations, and it's not just India. There are many countries that have that problem, and I think, you know, what farmers need to realise or understand is that the corporations, their only reason for doing that is to make money. So it's not to help farmers become more wealthy or better farmers, or, you know, have better farming for the environment. None of those reasons, even though they might say that's what they want to do, their real aim is to make money. That's what they want to do, and, you know, how they do that is by coercing farmers into buying hybrid seed or GMO seed and chemicals and pesticides, and then farmers get in debt.
Permaculture was invented in Australia, first of all by Bill Mollison and David Holmgren, and I sometimes think that it was invented in Australia because Australia is quite a hard place to do environmental things. It's a very wild kind of a place. So from Australia come a lot of very interesting lessons for permaculture, and permaculture has spread around the world to places like India. And at this conference, I'm starting to appreciate how important Bill Mollison's visit was here 30 years ago. And to see all the farmers here, to see the presentations, the teachers, it's been very powerful. Yeah.
I'm the co-founder of Permaculture in Timor.
since 2000, and we've been working with so many community and also a school since that 2000, and we've been doing so many work with reforestation, because Timor is a lot of deforestation. So also we working with water conservation program, and right now we have a program project with school garden, which is install permaculture school garden in every primary school.
On behalf of FIPC, I think I also invite some of my colleagues to also say something, but I would like to say that the experience that we have had over the last couple of days has been wonderful. It was an amazing experience that we have had over the last few days. The IPC 13 India was the most colorful event that I've ever attended. In addition to that, I personally enjoyed the very tasty food that was prepared for us throughout the days that we were here.
The main thing is, at this moment, we wanted to say how honored we were to be with you for your 30th anniversary of permaculture in India. And I think Bill Mollison is with us now. I think he's here right now with us. And thank you again to Aranya Agricultural Alternatives. Thank you for the magnificent event. Truly, as Walter just said, one of the most amazing IPCs ever. Thank you so much.
And I just mentioned that I realize, as Walter said, the most colorful event we ever had. And I saw all these little, so warm-hearted bits and pieces to show us that we are welcome. When we came here, I could not get finished to see how much small little signs of welcome we got. And I spoke it to Anna. She is one of the volunteers here. And we both ended up in tears and hugging. And I hardly could recover till now. So thank you, everybody, and a big hug.
Actually, I started purchasing of this land from 2006. After purchasing this land, I don't know what to do, what not to do, how to start this agriculture. Why? Because I am son of a government employee, I don't know agriculture. So, after meeting that, I met Narsanna in 2014. Before that, I visited several farms and I met several different persons. But after meeting Narsanna only, after seeing Aranya farm only, I decided to follow Narsanna and permaculture. So after visiting Aranya, I requested Narsanna to come to Polam. Immediately he visited Polam and we started permaculture systems here just 1.5 years back only. And I am very much thankful to Narsanna and Padma and Aranya organization to choose this Polam for IPC Convergence, and you all are welcome to Polam at any time in future.
I want to tell about Polam little more, whatever did in 2 years, last 2 years, whatever we did here. We started with water harvesting works and swales and contours and 8 percolation tanks. And that way we started a lot of rainwater, we stored a lot of rainwater. And we planted almost 90,000, nearly 90,000 plants. and in that fruit trees and forest trees and timber and fodder plants. We also have few animals in Polam. That we have 2 cows and 3 bullocks and some chicken. I want to bring in more cows and chicken. Anil and I want to create a home for all local birds and animals in Polam. We are also growing 23 varieties of crops since last year, and especially for this convergence. And I would like to continue to grow as many millets and pulses in future. And we also have Gangamma Mandala, where we grow vegetables for the whole family. And hosting this convergence has inspired me to create a learning center at Polam for kids and farmers and other indigenous crafts. Thank you very much for being here and cooperating with us last 4 days. And it was our pleasure to host you, and it will be our joy to welcome you any time in the future. We hope you are taking a big load of knowledge with you.
నేను రైతు బిడ్డనే, కానీ నా 18వ సంవత్సరం నిండుతూనే నేను గవర్నమెంట్ జాబ్లో చేరిన కాబట్టి వ్యవసాయం గురించి నాకంత పరిజ్ఞానం లేదు. కానీ ఇక్కడికి వచ్చిన తర్వాత మా సుప్రియ చెప్పడం చేత నేను కూడా పీడీసీ అరణ్యాలు చేశాను. అప్పటి నుంచి కొంత ఇంట్రెస్ట్ కలిగి లాస్ట్ 1 year నుంచి ఇక్కడే ఉంటున్నా. కాకపోతే ఇక్కడ ఈ ఐపీసీ కండక్ట్ చేయడానికి ఈ స్థలాన్ని ఎంపిక చేసుకున్నందుకు అరణ్య వాళ్లకు కృతజ్ఞతలు తెలియజేస్తూ, మరి ఇన్ని రోజుల నుంచి మీరంతా ఉండి దీన్ని దిగ్విజయంగా సక్సెస్ చేసి ఇక్కడికి వచ్చినందుకు మీ అందరికీ హృదయపూర్వక కృతజ్ఞతలు.
I just want to thank all the volunteers and the helpers from every part of this place, from Siddipet, from places around, who've really helped us make this happen successfully. Saipet, no. And the last few months has been a long journey at the farm. Each volunteer has struggled so much to get things done here, and I can't thank them enough for all their hard work. And I really hope they'll be invited onto the stage for a round of applause. That's it. Thank you for being here.
Amazing family. I think they're anytime you come to the Polam, I think they will show a lot of affection and love, and they feed people, any number of people who keep coming, and they never said no. I think I've come across a family where everybody's cooperated. All of them, almost all 6-7 people, are the way they behave with the people, and they so concerned to the people. They provided food, all arrangements, and thank you so much for the entire family. Thanks for again.